Hey everyone, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for the Monday night show where we take a look at basically all the news hitting the gaming world with a focus on Nintendo primarily. And at the same time, we take a look at some of the new Switch games that will release this week. Now, I'm not done setting everything up for the podcast, but rather than start a little bit later, I thought we'd warm things up. I'd say hi to all of you, and I just finish setting things up quickly. It's going to only take me like a couple of minutes. It's basically going through a couple of links here. But I want to give some time for everyone to get in and at the same time know how all of you are doing this week. So when you're in the chat, say a hello. Don't forget to drop a like on the stream to help support the channel. It really helps out a lot. Make sure that it gets sent out to more people. And we're going to get things going in just a few minutes. So we have quite a few interesting subjects for tonight. We're going to be looking at the first things that leaked from the Pokemon hack. We're going to be looking at Alarmo, which was probably the weirdest announcement Nintendo could make at this time and period. Like when I saw like an actual trailer from Nintendo for like a new product, and it turned out to be what it was. I'm gonna tell you, I was a little bit like, I a lack for words would be the best the best way I could put it, because I think we're all desperately waiting for news on the next Nintendo Switch release. And when Nintendo actually came out with a product totally out of left field, it took us all by surprise. At least, though, we now know what that weird patent is that they put out, but we'll get into that in just a few. I'm like almost through everything here. I just want to make sure that everything's like prepared so that when we do get to the new games section, we don't wind up with having to watch ads on each and every trailer that we watch. So give me just a second here. I'm almost ready to go. In the meantime, how are all of you doing tonight? So far in the chat, I see Nanaki, I see Frenchy Mom. Welcome, welcome. Nice to see you here. Glad you made it. And we are pretty much ready. There's also a really interesting thing in one of the game releases that we're getting for this week. And I think it might be setting things up for future releases also, which seems like it might have a ton of interesting things to look at. Okay, we are done. I can now focus solely on chat. So yes, as I said, we are going to be talking about that. We have a new release, and I've got to say we are getting into the busy weeks for Switch releases. So story-wise, we actually are going to be looking at 3 or 4 major stories, because other than the Nintendo stuff, it's actually been relatively quiet this week. But like I said, there were some really big things, especially that Pokemon leak. I think we've only seen the tip of the iceberg. And that is something that we are definitely going to hear more of over the next little while. Now, let me just pop something up here. Okay. So let's start with, we're going to jump into things because we've been, going for like 4 or 5 minutes. Let's jump straight into things. Let's start with probably what was one of the biggest announcements. Actually, no, just before something just hit me. Let's play a little game for the people in the chat. Can you notice what is new in the studio? Something is different than usual in the background. I'm going to give you a little hint. It's the background that is around me. Can someone notice what is new or different in the studio for this week? Actually, Topaz is here. She is here. Let me just grab her tail. She is laying on me tonight. Other than that, though, what is a little bit different? It's actually a pretty tough question, because something has just taken the place of something else, and it's just a like quick little fun thing to see if someone actually notices. I'll give it another like 10 seconds, let's say 30 seconds, and I will point to you what is different in the studio around me tonight. The Turtles game, you got it, Frenchie Mom. I switched out my arcade 1UP tabletop arcade for my Turtles arcade because I've had this for like 3 or 4 months, and I just never opened it, hadn't played it yet. And my daughter got into like a little, like, she really wanted to play my Pac-Man arcade. So I basically brought the Pac-Man arcade for her upstairs, which freed up the space in the studio to finally open up and install my Turtles arcade. So that is the brand new element in the studio. I've updated my arcade 1UP to my Turtles arcade, which has Turtles in Time in it and the original Turtles arcade beat 'em up. Okay, but now that that's out of the way, little fun warm up here for tonight. Let's take a look at our first story. So we are going to be looking at Alarmo. Now, if none of you have seen the trailer yet, we're going to watch it. But basically, this is what Nintendo's big announcement was last week. Everyone was expecting to hear finally about Nintendo Switch 2. And instead, we got an alarm clock. Now, let's watch through the trailer so that we can sort of get the feeling on that, like, I think it was Wednesday morning when you get up and you see a brand new Nintendo trailer on YouTube and you're like, oh my God, it's finally time. But then, nope, it turns out to be a sound clock. So let me just make sure everything is set here and let's watch the trailer,
This is Nintendo's
guys,
sound
first.
clock, Alarmo, an interactive alarm clock that's out of the ordinary. Let's see what it's like to wake up with Alarmo.
Now, I'm not going to be picking it up, by the way, because it wouldn't even work in my room, okay, in my bedroom.
Oh, do you hear that? The alarm is going off. But Alarmo doesn't just play music to start your day.
And I am interested to see a few real reviews of it after like a little while.
That's right. It responds to your body's movement with game sounds. Like here, with the sound of coins from Super Mario Odyssey.
And I'm going to give my thoughts on it as well, because even if it would fit in my room, I'm not even sure this is something I would actually want.
With the sound of ink splats from Splatoon 3.
Hey Squirrel, hey Gunmetal Otaku, hey Champ Dancer.
And here, from The Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild.
And even though I am maybe not that excited,
created by your movement, so you can start the day feeling like you're in the kingdom of Hyrule.
I do still think it's a genius product, and only Nintendo can pull off a product like this.
And when you get out of bed,
and obviously they gave us one of those trailers where like
a fanfare plays and the alarm
it's
comes
way
to
longer
an end.
than it would need to be.
You see, Alarmo detects movement with its motion sensor.
Now, I'm just going to explain really quickly why I could not have this in my room. And this might happen to a lot of other people as well. Number one, I don't have a night table. So, and the reason why I don't have a night table is because I have like, behind my bed, like I have like a big headboard, but the headboard has shelving units built into it. But those shelving units, like they're only accessible from the sides behind me. So basically, if I put something on the shelf on those sort of like on the headboard like shelving units, it's basically pointing out to the wall. There and if I put it on top of the headboard, like it's basically way too high and it's not going to detect anyone in the bed because it's like looking out, like it's at least like I would say like 3 feet above my head. So theoretically, I can't even have this thing in my room. It will just not work with my setup unless I would have to like literally buy myself a like night table simply for the reason of putting the Alarmo on it, and on top of it, that night table would end up blocking the shelving units. So just so you guys understand why I say it wouldn't work in my room, it's not every setup that I think this will work for.
And responds to your actions with sounds.
But that's not the only reason I'm not getting it.
When you get out of bed, Alarmo stops automatically without you needing to touch it. Keep in mind, though, the alarm will get more intense the longer it takes for you to get up. So, rise and shine.
This is part of the reason I would not be getting it.
You can set an alarm inspired by 5 games. Super Mario Odyssey. Pikmin
There
4.
has to be a snooze function on it or something like that, but
Splatoon 3. Ring Fit Adventure.
Uh-oh. I knew these guys would show up.
And The Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Wake up, Link.
someone told me that one of the sounds for
Each
one
game
of the
features
modes
7 alarm varieties, known as scenes. And they all have their own combination of
is like the
music
one where
and
you
sounds.
get tracked by the laser.
And when you connect to the internet, you can get more alarms as free updates as they become available.
Now this part though is really smart that they did
Besides
that.
the alarm function, Alarmo is packed with features to support you throughout
Guardian
the day,
music, yeah.
such as sleepy
When you get
sounds,
tracked by the
which
laser.
play when you get into bed and help you wind down. Records, which keep a log of your sleep and movement while in bed. And Hourly Chime, which features various Nintendo characters signaling the top of the hour. Add some play to the start of your day. Alarmo. For a limited time, Nintendo Sound Clock Alarmo is only available for purchase on.
Okay, we don't need to see the purchase options and all that, but I think we got the gist of it. Now, I'm going to start by saying the other reasons why, number one, this would never work for me. Number one, I said physical setup doesn't work. I explained that halfway through. Number two, I do think that this is a genius product for people that do sleep alone, but if you sleep with someone else, this will, I can't see this working for multiple reasons. Number one, me and my wife don't necessarily always get up at the same time. And I don't think the clock is going to be able to tell the difference between me and my wife, meaning that if one person gets up and the other one doesn't have to get up yet, I do see that like the alarm will like get annoyed and start increasing its sound setting. Now there must be a way to override it, but without that being a surefire thing, I can't imagine someone who like, you know, is like coupled up and sleeps next to another person, like getting this. Who gets up first? It depends when. During the week, it's generally my wife. During the weekend, it's generally me. But it's like a case-by-case basis. It depends on who's working when and stuff like that. It depends me if I stayed up late the day before to like finish a video or the podcast and whatnot. So that's number two. Like, I don't think that people who are going to be sleeping with more than one person in the bed, this is going to be a genius idea. Number three is there's no way my wife would put up with the sounds this thing makes either way. Like even the most relaxing ones, like from Animal Crossing and whatnot, I don't see that she would put up with it. And I am very interested in waiting on like reviews after like a week or two, because I do know that some people put out like day one reviews of it because they went to like the Nintendo store in New York and picked it up. But I'll be honest, I'm not really trusting those, because this is the sort of product that you can't force its utility. You can't sort of say like, okay, I will pretend that I'm getting up. I don't know if you get what I mean. It's like you need to test it in the real world scenario of real use to be able to see if it, how it works, what does work, what doesn't work. Um, the thing that I think that they did really smart, however, is the whole downloadable content in the future, because I do think this might take off. All the things aside, that for me it's maybe not the best product ever and that it's not for everyone, I can see this taking off for a lot of younger people who sleep alone and who love Nintendo products. And I'll be honest, they're probably launching this at the best time that they could, because we're at the end of the Switch generation where a lot of people have Switches, and right now I do think the recognizability of Nintendo properties are at their highest before Switch 2. And obviously we're getting very close to the holiday season. So right now is the time that people will drop $100 on an alarm clock, because it's just a good gift to give a Nintendo fan. And since the Switch 2 is not going to be out before Christmas, people are probably scrambling trying to find really good ideas for people that are Switch fans. And other than giving them games, it's always fun. People always want to find a little something extra that is not a game. And this is like the perfect thing. Do you know what I mean? So I do think it's a genius marketing time for launching something like Alarmo. Like Nintendo did about the same thing with the remote control cars. However, I do think that this is going to be probably a bigger hit than the remote control cars. It costs $100 US, to my knowledge. If it's not 100, it's around 100. Because 100 is the number I heard a lot of people saying. But basically, genius idea from Nintendo, and I've heard a lot of people say it, and it's true. This is like the most Nintendo thing ever. Like, if you look at what companies release, and if you just said there's a gaming company that put an alarm clock out, you wouldn't even have to tell people it's Nintendo, and people would know it's Nintendo that did it. Like, they know it's not PlayStation, and they know it's not Xbox. And I say PlayStation, but Sony is the company behind them. So honestly, Alarmo took us by surprise. And if you guys hadn't known, or if you saw that other story, like, because a few weeks back, or I would say a month back, they leaked a patent for a new product that Nintendo was putting out, which was just a sheet with a USB-C on the other side that detects movements, like with a wave sensor in it. This is that patent. It's basically, this is the patent that they put out. Well, honestly, I don't think that they're going after like the mature gaming market. I think they're going for like the sub 30-year-old market with this. Because yes, the look of it doesn't fit in like a very clean, neat adult bedroom. Like, and that's why I said that it's for people who like sleep alone. Because let's imagine I was not married to my wife, I would probably still have a gamer bedroom at like 42 years old. You know what I mean? However, in this case, for most people above that, it's probably not going to be the case. You know what I mean? But nonetheless, I thought this was nonetheless extremely funny to cover because, like I said, it's just like Nintendo to give us a product that no one asked for, but at the same time, it sort of be cool at what it does. You know what I mean? And like I said, they're probably going to sell a ton of it just because it's going to be an incredible product for the holiday season. Yeah, but it's for kids to be bought by their presents as a Christmas gift. That's what I'm saying. A kid isn't going to go spend $100 on an alarm clock, but a parent that's like, oh, I'm going to be able to teach him to make sure he gets up at the right time and all that stuff. It's going to work, okay? Because even I thought one of my daughters needs music to sleep every night. She puts like on a laptop with a song and whatnot. And I actually thought that if I get an Alarmo, we could put it in her room. So if I'm thinking it as a parent, that means other people are thinking it as a parent because their kids are in like a similar situation to that. So that is our first story for tonight. We're not going to spend too much time on this because I think we covered what we need to cover. It's one of those things, either you're behind it and you want one or you just don't. But at the same time, I do think it's like one of those genius releases from Nintendo. However, it's one that maybe a lot of people are feeling salty about for the simple reason that that's not what we wanted to hear about. We wanted to hear about the Nintendo Switch 2, and instead we got a goddamn alarm clock. Okay? That is probably, however, the saltiest part of this. Now, talking about salty parts of this, let's discuss the next one. As usual, by the way, if you guys don't already know, if you're new here, all the links to the different articles, the different videos we'll be watching will be in the description of the stream after the stream. Right now, it is not the proper descriptions that are there, but I will be updating them as soon as the stream ends to the proper links. So if you guys want to go drop a like on the videos that we watch, especially if we watch other people's videos, which won't really happen tonight, but you know, as usual, you can always check out the links for yourself. So next, we are going to be talking about saltiness because I did not get in. Personally, I don't know of anyone who did get in, but 10,000 North American wide is not a lot of people. It sounds like a lot of people, but it's really not a lot of people. And I'm saying North America wide, but I think this is worldwide even. And when we're talking about having over 225 million Switches out there, 10,000 people is not a lot of people to get into this. What am I talking about? Well, on the same day they announced Alarmo, Nintendo also announced that they were opening up a online playtest program. For what? We have no freaking idea. But they needed 10,000 people that were going to sign up, that had the expansion pack. This is a very important part of this. You have to have the expansion pack for this to work, to be eligible. And they will give you later in the month, between the 23rd of October and the 5th of November, access to some type of program that we're going to be testing out for Nintendo. Now, a lot of people have been wondering what the heck this is. And the problem is, we most likely aren't going to know day one. But why? Because Nintendo also said that for anyone who goes into this program, they're asking you to not share any information about it. Now, I expect that to last about 2 to 3 hours before someone somewhere starts posting stuff. So most likely on October 24th, we'll know what this program was about. But a lot of people are wondering what the heck this is. I do think that for me, the two front runners, if we're talking about what I think this is, a new eSHOP format, I don't think so, because you wouldn't need to have the expansion pack for that. That's why I don't think it's just a new eShop format. There's two things that I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about either a sort of okay, well, I'll start with the sort of the one that I was going to start with the other one, but let's start with the one that a lot of people are talking about. A lot of people think that they're going to be testing out GameCube online streaming games, because most likely GameCube games, the emulation, they're having maybe problem with them on the Nintendo Switch this generation. And rather than like the current consoles, we would be actually streaming the games from Nintendo servers. Like basically, you're not going to be able, like, the games won't play based off of the Switch's power. The games will play off of a server, and it's basically game streaming. We'll be game streaming GameCube games. That is their front runner, like, sort of theory that is out there. And they want to basically test load like 10,000 people logging in, starting the games, and seeing what the gameplay experience is like before launching it. Simply because most likely the Switch natively maybe can't exactly handle the GameCube emulation. Not because the Switch can't play GameCube games, they can't emulate GameCube games. Because emulation always takes a little bit of extra juice than flat out playing natively a game. Yeah, sort of like the Sony and the PlayStation 1, 2, 3 Premium Online. So I'm thinking that that could possibly be one of the reasons, and it's probably the front runner for theories generally right now on the internet. That is the front runner. However, I do also think that perhaps they are setting up some type of online community hub or something like that, where people are going to be able to communicate, sort of like when we had Mii's on the Wii and the Wii U. You know, we had Mii's, which we have Mii's, but in some games on the Switch. I'm wondering if they're maybe launching a Mii community where you're going to be able to sort of log in and meet up with people, and then maybe play some of the Nintendo first-party games online. Like, it's like a sort of online actual community. You know what I mean? Like, where you log in, you have your Mii, you can see who else is online, and you can maybe, like, have, like, very short discussions with people, because I do think Nintendo won't go the route of being able to actually type full messages and stuff. Why? Because, you know, they want to protect kids online and all that, and they just don't want people logging in and then showing up and, like, basically predators, you know, preying on kids, which makes total sense for Nintendo and stuff, since there are probably a lot of younger people that have Switches, and going online and just being able to talk to anyone randomly is maybe not a good idea. So I'm wondering if it's maybe some kind of Mii community. You know what I mean? Or a new game that is going to revolve around Mii's and everyone logging in and sort of having like an MMO experience, but on the Nintendo Switch Online service. Yeah, I do agree with you. They need to have the free for all online for Nintendo Switch Online games, because the friends only thing is pretty lame. I do agree, and that is probably one of the things with the Nintendo Switch whole platform that is holding it back, especially for adults to get even more into it. And I'm not saying that adults aren't into it. We're all here. Most of us are probably in the upper echelons of gamer age. We'll say the nicest way possible. But I do think that if they want to get like the whole community, they need to have a better online system. And to me, that would be like the biggest thing, even more than the GameCube. I think I would like to know that Nintendo is. Give me a sec, because my chair's bugging me. It's like not at the right height. Okay. I think that one of the biggest things that like Nintendo needs to do is figure out how to get better online communities going without necessarily making it a risk for kids. And I mean, to me, it's as easy as if you log in with like when you create a Nintendo account, you're supposed to tell them how old you are. And basically, if you're under 18 or 16 or whatever year they want to consider you to be accessible to adult like interactions and gaming, like you simply should, like when you log into that program online, you should simply be like divided into groups. You know what I mean? Like kids will play with kids and adults can play with adults. For games that don't have their own online platforms, like, you know, like Fortnite and whatnot, where at that point it's more Fortnite that's doing that. Guys, I tried to register for the playtest program and I got very far, but against my better judgment, I tried to read what I was signing for, and by the time I accepted, it was already too late. Dude, you are lucky because I didn't get beyond like the sign up button. You are extremely, extremely lucky because by like I was refreshing, and by the time I clicked on the button, it was over. Like it literally took seconds. I do think possibly it was divided regionally, because I did hear people in other regions it was way easier. So I do think they maybe reserved certain spots for certain regions, and depending on where you were trying to sign on for, it was maybe easier or harder. But basically getting back to it is, yeah, I'm hoping that this is to figure out like a better Nintendo Switch Online interaction system. I do want to check out Nikoderiko, and if any developer for Nikoderiko sees this video, I asked for a review copy on Keymailer. I'm supposed to be shortlisted, meaning that I'm supposed to be guaranteed a key, and I'm still waiting because I said I wanted a key, haven't gotten it yet, and the game comes out like very soon. So if you guys want me to do like a review anytime in the next like little while, I'm gonna be needing that key pretty soon. But sometimes the Switch keys are the last to go out, so I'm not gonna assume, like I'm supposed to be shortlisted, meaning that theoretically, if I ask for the key, I'm supposed to be guaranteed to get it. Yes, we did start with the Clocko wild one with the Alarmo, but yes, we already talked about it. So to me, those are the two frontrunner ideas for the playtest program. I would have really loved to get into it, but at the same time, I am sort of happy I didn't, because I would have been stuck in that position where I tried it out, I want to make a video, but I don't want to get copyrighted on it. Because I think that a random person making a post on like TikTok or anything like that, obviously Nintendo, there's not much they can do about it. But if I tried to make a video on it before Nintendo says it's okay to talk about it, I'm pretty sure they would have copyright struck my video. Especially the way Nintendo is now. Like, they wouldn't have sued me. Like, I know everyone's like, oh, Nintendo's going to sue people. They're not going to sue you. They're just going to copyright strike your videos and, like, deal with you that way. Like, it's not going to be way harder for them than that. The one thing is, like I said, I'm pretty sure we're going to find out what it is. So part of me really wanted to get in, and another part of me is like, if I got in, I would have felt stuck with the information, because it would have been too big of a risk to actually make content around it. But at the same time, I would have liked to be at the forefront to know what's happening with that. Like, probably all of you would be excited to know about it too. I would have just been like really, really like torn between like making content, and I would have probably waited to see if other people were going to do it first. But that's that. So we're going to wait October 24th, well, even the 23rd, but I think October 24th is going to be a big day to check the internet, because I'm pretty sure we're going to find out. Like, everyone is going to be talking about it. It is going to happen. It's guaranteed. With 10,000 people playing this, there's no way. There was one case where Mad Pixel reported a guy who was selling the Switch games and Nintendo earned him, but he ignored them, so he got sued. You mean he was selling like Switch games like before they released, you mean? There was one case where Mad Pixel who was selling the Switch games and Nintendo earned him, but he ignored them. Warned him, I imagine, but Nintendo warned him, but he got he got sued. Yeah, warned him was that exactly. Nonetheless, exactly. So, like, don't worry. Typos are typo, man. I make a million of them. You see you see these fat fingers? I cannot write one text without like a typo. Guaranteed that if I'm texting to you, you will get a minimum of one typo per message. So I got that. But yeah, so I think that's what we needed to talk about for the playtest program. We're not going to spend any more time on it. I just think that the 24th of October, you see, it's actually sort of freeing that I'm not in the program, actually. Because if I report on someone else leaking the information, there's not much Nintendo can do about it. And even if they strike me, I sort of have a way to defend myself because I'm just reporting on news that someone else put out there. So that's actually maybe a sort of a free... It's actually maybe better that I didn't get in. I just thought of that like right now. Because if someone else talks about it and I just sort of pick it up and report it, not much they can do there. Because you're just reporting on information that is now public. I did see a report though. It's true the Switch 2 will be awesome. I don't know. I didn't see a big report yet on the Switch 2. Now we're gonna get one last little announcement out of the way before we look at probably one of the biggest news so far. And like I said, it's the biggest news, but there isn't that much we can talk about yet. But I do think that especially with the latest deals video that I did, with the fact that a new Netflix show came out this week, that I think that Tomb Raider 4 to 6 Remastered announcement trailer was worthy of acknowledging, because I do think a lot of people are going to be interested for this one. However, to be honest, these aren't the best Tomb Raider games. Newsflash, the Green Ranger is better than the White Ranger. Yeah, we've already established that. That is already 100% established. He was the Switch hacker reselling the games online, but he got caught. They warned him, but he didn't listen. Crazy, really, how he's taking on Nintendo. Last I read, he's representing himself. Oh, yeah, we covered that last week. We covered that quickly last week. But to my knowledge, he didn't sell the games. He was selling. He was modding consoles, and he was basically modding the consoles to be able, basically hacking Nintendo Switches. But either way, we will basically, we'll wait to see how that shakes out. But to my knowledge, he was modding the consoles and he was selling MIG switches, which Nintendo did not like. So let's talk about the Tomb Raider 4 and 6 Remastered. So let's watch the trailer really quickly. Hopefully it won't get copyrighted. But I know that they can be a little iffy with their trailers sometimes.
Time to put things right.
I still think that the most epic games were the 1, 2, and 3, though.
Got a feeling this isn't quite what it seems.
Give a girl a break.
Booty Laura. So February 14th for Valentine's Day, you can offer your girlfriend the awesome gift of Tomb Raider. Your girlfriend, wife, significant other, you can offer them the awesome, Valentine's Day gift of Lara Croft. But to be honest, unfortunately, Tomb Raider is one of those series that over time has diminished in quality. Now, I'll be totally honest with you guys. I can't remember which one is 4, 5, and 6 because I think there are 9 total, if I'm not mistaken, 9 or 10 total if you count like the PS2 like offshoots and whatnot. So it's really hard. I'm trying to remember which ones exactly are 4, 5, and 6. But basically, I do know that 1, 2, and 3 like 1 and 3, if I'm not mistaken, are like I think my favorites. 1 because it's the one. It's the one that started the series. You think the first 3 need complete remakes rather than remasters? I think the remasters did what they needed to do. They cleaned up the control scheme, which was very like it was tank controls. Topaz, like you're annoying me. She's like trying to jump on me, but she doesn't have room to do it. So I'm scared that she's gonna miss and she's gonna break something again. By the way, I glued together Ganondorf's arm, and he's okay. I fixed it. But for anyone that was here on Friday for the stream, because Topaz broke my amiibo of Ganondorf, which was my favorite amiibo, because she threw it off my desk. But yeah, Tomb Raider is unfortunately one of those series that over time diminished severely in quality, and I actually think really needs to be reined back in and brought back, but brought back with someone who has passion for the originals. Like, we really need this to get like I'm trying to think of a company that did well in the same type of scenario, like a game series that went downhill and then just came back with a smash hit. Like, I'm thinking Devil May Cry, but Devil May Cry really only had 1 bad game. So I don't really think it's the same thing, because this has been like consecutively games that have been bad-ish. Ninja Turtles was different though, in the sense that I do agree, like Ninja Turtles sort of is having that revival, but we're actually probably getting a bad Ninja Turtles game this week once again. So I don't want to say that time is over. And Ninja Turtles is like an IP that is not a game IP. To me, there's a difference, because like what's happening right now is that the Turtles IP is being given to multiple different developers, and some games are coming out great and some games are coming out crappy. And I do think that this week's game is going to be one on the crappy side. Because, by the way, for this week's, upcoming Switch games, the Be Warned section is back. So we're going to be looking at a lot of releases, because this is going to be a very busy week. But I'm going to have 2 games that I also want to warn, to say, oof, watch out before buying these games. And I actually could have done it for 4 games, but I did it for 2, because the other 2, I think, are not known enough in North America, at least not in like the US, to be that I need to warn people about. How was Transformers? Transformers was pretty bad. Not as bad as SpongeBob, but pretty bad. By the way, for anyone, I know we're sort of sidetracking. I put 6 more hours into Transformers Galactic Trials to make sure that I did my due diligence to put out a review, and I'm glad to say that I will never have to play this game again. Okay, the review is most likely, I'm going to try to put it out tomorrow. Okay, but yeah, it is not as bad as the Patrick Star game, because it's actually playable. but it is definitely subpar. And in reality, like, anyway, wait for the review, but or you can watch my original thoughts on Friday, because it pretty much stayed the same. Exactly. The racing is actually not that bad, but there are frame rate issues. The frame rate is bad, but the racing could actually be fun in parts. But the robot sections are so bad that it draws down the whole gameplay. And the problem is, a lot of races end up depending on the bot sections at higher levels. And there's so much rubber banding in the game that no matter how good you get, like, you can lose random races for no freaking reason, even though you are kicking the computer's butt left, right, and center, because there's a ton of rubber banding. The better you race, the better the computer races. And like, he will always, like, it's hard, like, it's just basic rubber banding. If you don't know what the term rubber banding means, is that basically sometimes racing games cheat, where the AI will always make the races tight. So the better you get, the better the AI races, even if you put the difficulty level lower or higher. So in a certain way, no matter how good you get, you're sort of punished for getting better, because you're doing awesome, you're racing without a mistake, and then, for example, you make one tiny mistake at the end, and the computers beat you all of a sudden because they're all like within 5 seconds of you. While in another race, you'll make mistakes the whole race, but you'll end up winning because the computers never take too much of a lead on you where you can't catch them, to make sure that the race stays interesting all throughout. But that just feels super cheap. Like, it's fun for kids, but it's absolutely awful for people who, like, are competitive about games. And that's the problem with the racing section, but the bot sections are so awful that they make the game almost unplayable. Like, the bot sections are just so bad, so bad. And like I said, I'm pretty sure it is a racing game that they just said, hey guys, you got to find a way to make this a Transformers game, and they added in the bot sections later. Because, like, the bot sections, like, they are purely like transported levels in the middle of a racing game. Either way. So that's it. So yes, Tomb Raider 4, 5, and 6. I think a lot of people are going to be excited for this one. It is fun that we're getting a lot of the Tomb Raider games now playable on the Nintendo Switch. It's a classic series. If you haven't first checked out the first 3, by the way, they are 50% offer this week. They were in the latest eShop deals video. It is a great time to be picking them up, because basically you're getting 3 games for $15. $5 for one of the remastered Tomb Raider games is a very fair price. Okie doke. Now that this is out of the way, we are going to get to our big story. And this week, I purposely kept it a little light, because there are so many games that I want to look at that are releasing this week, that I don't want the show to go overboard, and I want to keep things tight for this week. And like I said, this story, the next one that we're going to look at, is most likely just the tip of the iceberg. And I'm going to tell you, I think part of this Nintendo brought on themselves. Because to me, this feels like a social justice thing, because Nintendo is being a bully right now. And I'm going to explain to you why I think it's a social justice thing. Because, but let's go look. Let's first see what happened. So basically, there has been a massive hack at Game Freak. Unfortunately, an employee at Game Freak was victim of a phishing attack that worked, and the hackers got away with a very large quantity of information, and they've already released some online. Now, I'm gonna wait till the end of the story, because we're gonna first look at what's out so far, and I'll be honest, there's more information coming out all the time. So even what we're going to be talking about today is already dated in the sense that I saw some more stuff come out, but I haven't been able to verify it yet. So I don't want to talk about stuff that hasn't been verified yet, because right now, it's easy for anyone on Twitter to say like, we just like decoded another part of the leak and it said that you're going to be playing as Mewtwo in the next Pokemon game. You know what I mean? Like your character will be Mewtwo and something like that. Ridiculous, okay? I'm just giving a ridiculous idea. Like you're going to be playing as Mewtwo in the next game. And you have no idea if it's an actual part of a leak or not. You understand what I mean? So I do say right now, if you're online looking at the Game Freak leaks, take everything with a grain of salt till it's sort of the information gets vetted. So the sources come out and, like multiple people confirm that they've had the information, and people that generally have a pretty good history online of giving proper information. That still doesn't mean it's true. It just means that at least at that point, it's worth discussing. Now, one of the things, though, that did come out is apparently they got away with a lot of personal information for employees at Game Freak. Now, that is a part of these hacks. Let's be honest. I'm not for hacking at all, okay? I would prefer that this not happen. So we're not talking about this to glorify hacking. I just want to be very super clear about that. And I would never talk about the part of the information that would be employee information, by the way. Because that is one thing that I really hope whoever has this stuff, just put that aside. Don't do nothing with it. Don't put it out there. Because you know what? Like, employees, individual people do not need to be affected by this in any which way. I don't think companies should get hacked and this should happen either way. The company shouldn't be affected either. But I don't have any moral, like I'm not going to be like a defender of a multi-billion-dollar company. You know what I mean? In the sense that they're allowed to do their intellectual properties. They need to defend themselves. They need to do what they need to do. But at the same time, I don't think you need to white knight for the Pokemon Company and Game Freak in a sense. However, for their employees, definitely. Okay? Definitely, like, I do not, like, whoever has the information, even if it gets out there, please do not, like, propagate it, get it out further or whatnot. I don't care where a developer lives. I don't think their family should be worried about, it finding. And either way, who cares? They make video games. They make Pokemon games. So don't go harass them. Don't go bother them. Whatever. Okay. But we'll go look at the information that's come out so far. Now, this came from My Nintendo News, and most of this information has all been vetted, so it should be really part of the leak. So first of all, there claims to be files indicating that there will be a new Pokemon MMO coming out. So a game, or that it's titled as Pokemon MMO. And that would actually be something super interesting. Pokemon MMO, honestly, would probably be a logical step from here on out. Because the last game, we got an online mode. You could see people from time to time. I do think that a real Pokemon MMO could possibly work. But Nintendo needs to do way more to make it stand out. Like, you cannot, especially if they start charging people a monthly fee or something like that to play the game, you can't get away with shit graphics like they did in Pokemon Scarlet. Okay? Like, they would have to really, really launch something that would be amazing. And where I see this maybe being a problem too is they would have to shift the type of end game content they do. Because right now, Pokemon, the end game raids and stuff are fun for most people for a month or two. And after that, most people I know dropped off of Pokemon Scarlet. Like, very few people were following the online raids and stuff that you needed to do with people. Oh, sorry. Yeah, MMO is a massive multiplayer online game. So think of World of Warcraft. Think of Final Fantasy 11, and then it was 14, if I'm not mistaken. Uh, Basically games where you have to play with other people to get stuff done in the game, and it becomes like an online community. Pokemon Unite is more a MOBA, a massive online battle arena, or is it battle arena? But basically like League of Legends. So that's the first information that came out. But is this maybe just a title for something else and it happens that it's MMO? Like maybe it just stands for something else and it happens to have the same initials as an MMO? I thought of that too, because like they're going by file names and MMO test. You know what I mean? It's like, do I want to trust 100% that that means massive, massively multiplayer online? Next, we have codenamed Synapse, which is supposed to be a battle-focused multiplayer game jointly developed by Game Freak and ILCA, which appears to be in the works. Leakers have said that it's a Splatoon-like game. Now, this one has me wondering if we're talking about the Pokemon company using the Pokemon IP to create a Splatoon-like game. Or are we talking about a brand new IP that would happen to be a Pokemon-like game that simply is being made by Game Freak? Because both things are possible. Now, Game Freak primarily makes Pokemon, but they have tried making other games. Thing is, nothing really caught on the way Pokemon did in their other attempts. But we could be looking at something original. And I do think that maybe another step to Pokemon Unite would be something like this. Because a lot of the different Pokemons, you could have them using their abilities in a Splatoon-like fashion. So rather than Pokemon Unite, which is a top-down viewpoint, and you're controlling them like in a League of Legends format, you could have like a almost like Overwatch type situation, but that plays like Splatoon, where it's like more of like teamwork gameplay and stuff. Yeah, Little Town Hero is one of their attempts at other games. You're right. Now we're getting into the stuff, however, that to me is more interesting. So we do have information about the next Pokemon generation that was also obtained by hackers. As it being referred to as Gaia in development for both the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2. So apparently there's indications, and I said this, if you remember back when we were talking when they announced the next Pokemon game, I said I'm almost sure this is going to be a cross-generation Pokemon game. And apparently, that would be right. The next Pokemon game is going to release for Switch and Switch 2 at the same time. Or at least a build for Switch 2 is in the works. So if it releases for Switch 1, it will most likely have an upgrade or a separate build for the Nintendo Switch 2. And like I said, this is interesting information. Why? Because Pokemon is slated for next year. I know everyone is like, oh, the Nintendo Switch 2 is releasing before March. No, they said it will be releasing. We will know, we will have information on the console being revealed before March. But if it's releasing for Pokemon for both of the systems at once, that is actually most likely hard proof that we are most likely really looking at a launch of the console next year, which I know is crazy to think would not happen. But at this point, I'm not taking anything for granted anymore because I already can't believe that we're finishing 2024 without the Switch 2. Okay. Just to let you know, I never thought we would miss the release of the console for this year. Like, I was sure that this holiday season, 2024, we were going to be getting our Switch 2s. But I think this is one of the first hard informations from Nintendo that they are releasing for the 2. And I do think that this might have been the game that was delayed for the Switch 2. You know how they said, remember when they said that the reason why they were delaying Switch 2 is that some games needed extra time to be ready for the Switch 2? I think it could have been Pokemon now. I think Pokemon was going to be a cross-generation game, and I think Game Freak was having trouble putting it out. And they wanted more time in the cooker for it. Because I'll be honest with you, the first-party Nintendo games that are going to be releasing with it, I think they're already good to go. And I know a lot of people think Game Freak is first-party Nintendo. It is not. Like, they are a separate company. They do develop separately. So I do think Nintendo had their stuff good to go, and Game Freak maybe held them up. And Pokemon being the franchise that it is, I think that this would make sense that this is the game that was holding them up. And they want to release with a new Pokemon game that can be played on the next system. I do think that is true. Next, we also have the Switch 2 reportedly. We now know what their code name would be for Switch 2, which is Ounce. What does that mean? Not much, but that does mean that if we do find documents where Nintendo is referring to Ounce elsewhere, we now know that Ounce could be the Nintendo Switch 2. What that means is that it could actually put into context other leaks where before we didn't know what Nintendo was talking about, and now we would know that they are talking about the Nintendo Switch 2. And lastly, source codes and beta builds for Pokemon Heart Gold, Soul Silver, and Black 2 and White 2 were leaked alongside everything above. So source codes are basically, you could recreate the games as is from scratch. Like source codes is, basically the DNA of a video game, okay? And they were leaked all above. Now, I'm going to say something. The reason I'm thinking that this could be sort of like a social justice hack or something or another is that the leakers leaked this without asking for any money, apparently. And I find that super odd because most leaks like this is to try to get money out of the company that they're leaking for. And we all know that Nintendo lately has been a bit of a bully. So this could be some hacker's way of thinking that they're getting justice for the people that are unjustly being oppressed by Nintendo right now. Now, I'm not saying that they are, okay? That's not what I'm saying it. It could be clout, could be social justice. It's just that if you're not doing it for social justice, why not ask for money at the same time as the clout? You know what I mean? Like, for me personally, because doing this is taking a huge risk. Because if Nintendo finds out who you are, like, you're going to jail. And they're going to make sure you go to jail. Like, Nintendo has had people go to jail for a lot less than this. I just think that someone has a twisted sense of justice where they're trying to say, you guys want to bully people around? Well, I'm going to be bullying you. But I know, and I do agree, I'm not supporting hackers. This is just my thought process on why would they release this without asking for money with the risk that they're taking. Because I guarantee you, like I said, Nintendo, you saw how rough they can get with just people like doing stuff that is a lot less damaging to them than this. Nintendo's going to be out for blood for this with this one. And like I said, I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I think over the next few weeks, we're going to be getting more and more and more information. Yeah, that Bowser guy that Nintendo sued, exactly. The not Doug Bowser, the other Bowser. But that is an insane story. I'm really interested in seeing where this is going. And if, look, I don't think the hackers watch my channel or anything like this, but I'm just re-saying it. If you guys have the information about the employees, though, keep that to yourselves. That is something that like should not even be remotely okay to share with anyone. Even just destroy it. You don't need people's like social security numbers and where they live and stuff like that. And they put up on the website, by the way, like for anyone that's like left the company or been fired or whatnot, to like a website where you can check if your information was shared and like to have access to resources if it did get shared or whatnot. So apparently there are like a lot of employee info in there. So not super cool on that end, however. But yeah, so that was the big story for this week. Um, Pretty crazy. Honestly, this one is pretty crazy, and we could see this be getting have a big shakeup. Like I can actually see this impacting Nintendo's like release schedule and what they were doing and whatnot, based on what's going to be leaked in the next few weeks. Like like especially maybe not for like next gen Pokemon, because I think that is gonna stay its course. But like that MMO stuff and like I said, depending on what else is gonna be announced. Every community has its share of wackos. In the recent MK1 KO Reigns DLC, some fans were disappointed with it, but a few crazies hated it and sent death threats. That's like, that is so ridiculous. Like, that is so ridiculous. Sending death threats to a video game company because you don't like a game or you don't like DLC. Like, I'm sorry to say this, guys, because I love gaming, and you know that if I could make it the most important part of my life, I would. I think it's already a huge chunk of my life, but like I'm talking about like the most important part of my like professional life, I would. Um, but doing stuff like that makes gamers look like idiots, and I hate it because it taints the rest of the community. It's just that they sent death threats to people and to Ed Boon because they didn't like the DLC and the direction of the latest MK1 releases. I know I saw stuff about like some characters being like, I know a lot of people are hating on the fact that the characters are being somewhat how can you say uh I'm trying, the word's not coming to me, but basically the clothing on the female characters, they're being more covered. Um, Censored is the word I was looking for. Like there's been yet again a lot of censorship on the characters. And although I do like, on a personal level, a game like Mortal Kombat, which already goes over the top with deaths and all that, should not have censorship on like the body shapes of the women and all that stuff, because it just goes against the nature of the game. Like, it's all over the top. Like, all the dudes look like they have six packs and like they can like bench press 800 pounds. Like, it's just one of those games where it's like that. It's like, why are you trying to censor something that is already like made its name by being over the top and like actively having like community groups come out to try to like ban the games when they first came out, like Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. You know what I mean? Like, why would you like even care about that stuff? Yeah, well, and I'm against it too, but I don't really care at the same time. Like, it's not going to stop me from playing a game. Just like, am I disappointed that Dragon Quest 3 they're changing the designs? Yes. But does that mean I'm going to not play the game and enjoy it? No. But I do think at one point we're just going to have to, as a society, decide like, you know, let the person making the product decide on what they see as a vision for it, and either you support it as a customer or you don't. And I do think that over time, maybe, yeah, you go outside and you see TikTok yoga pants, and dude, if you go to a gym nowadays, you see way more revealing stuff than any video game. Let's be honest. Like, and I have no problem with it, but I'm just saying, if you go to a gym nowadays, like, I've been in gyms like since the 90s, you know what I mean? And in the 90s, like, very few women would dress like women dress in gyms today, unless you were like in South Beach or Miami, or like the like sort of really like hardcore places for like fitness whatever. Well, no problem with it. Like, like it, and I'm not saying it in that sort of way, because I know how it's good. Like, I go to the gym with my wife, okay? So let's be honest here. When I say I have no problem with it, it's like, as long as you're not like why do I care? I don't care what anyone dresses like. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. That's but exactly, like, I really don't care. And I think that people that like waste time on trying to censor other people are like, it's just a big waste. It's just, put your time and your attention into what matters to you, and let other people just do what they want to do. And like, if you don't like what a video game's doing, just don't buy it. You know what I mean? But that's it. Anyway, so one way or another, there are always a few bad eggs that ruin most communities. In gaming, it's just like anything else. I do think that in general, most gamers are very like anyone. The majority of gamers are sensible, normal people that just want to have fun and just want their properties respected. And you always have some bad apples that make all of us look bad. People care. Why do we act like we don't? Well, I mean, people care, but to me, as long as you're not like invading my personal space, or my personal, like, you're not making me feel unsafe, or you're not making me feel uh, like I truly, truly do not like care. And like, I have, unfortunately, well, no, unfortunately, that's a bad way of putting it. I have like multiple daughters, and um trying to convince a young girl nowadays to like be like in a long t-shirt or something is just not going to happen. um Okay, getting back to actual issues at hand, though, because we're not going to go off into the morality policing and all that stuff. It's we've had a few of those streams, and we'll keep them for when the subjects are more directed towards that, because I think we can all agree that hacking in general is bad. If you've ever been hacked, if you've ever had money stolen, I was hacked. One of my Switch accounts was hacked, by the way. I don't know if I ever said it on stream before, but during COVID, at the start of COVID, someone hacked my Switch account, and they bought like $300-400 worth of V-Bucks on Fortnite. And before I was able to shut it down, because at that time it used to go through my PayPal, and Nintendo reimbursed it, by the way, like within a day, Nintendo reimbursed it. So that was awesome. But so I like, which is why I say, like, hacking in general, it's awful, it's freaking stupid. Like, hacking bad, okay? Hacking bad is the best way. I'm just saying that, like, at least I want to just look at, however, the information we can get out of it that will be interesting, since it's already out there. You know what I mean? It's already out there. But yeah, I got hacked for account, and that's why I no longer leave payment information on my Nintendo accounts, by the way. I no longer leave payment information. So like my Nintendo account, that's why when I buy a game on stream, it takes so much time because I have to re-enter my payment information each time I buy something, because I just don't have it, like, when it can save your payment for next time, it's always checked off. I never leave my payment information in there. I always do it manually all the time, because I just don't want to have to go through the hassle again of that. Yeah, hacking bad. Okay, but yeah, so that was the news stories for this week. It was a little bit light on news stories, but you know what? It still took like an hour, 15 minutes. So I'm saying it was light, but it wasn't. It's just lighter than we normally do for that stuff. And we're going to be jumping straight now into the new Switch games for this week. Because yes, we have a pretty loaded week. And I'm going to tell you, there was maybe one or two more games that I could have fit in here, and I decided not to, simply because at one point I was like, there's so many games that I see with a high potential that I'm not going to show like these sort of maybe B-tier indies. Yeah, exactly. Indies, for B-tier indies, like there was maybe only one indie that I skipped, but the other two were like Microids games, which are always iffy quality-wise, and that's why I said we'll look at a couple of options here. But we have a lot of high potential games for this week. I just want to say a lot of high potential games. And we're going to start right away with Neva, coming out on October 15th. So in like 10 minutes, it could be available. Okay. So Neva is by the same company, if I'm not mistaken, that brought us Gris, like, or some people say Gris. Okay. But it's Gris, like gray in French. This game is coming out on October 15th, and it will be selling for $19.99. Okay. Now, we're going to watch the trailer. Beautiful game. And then we'll talk about it. We saw this in a Nintendo Direct lately. Now, I'm guessing that's supposed to be a fox and not a dog. So there we go with Neva. And one thing that we cannot doubt here is that artistically, beauty-wise, these are some of the most beautiful games on the Nintendo Switch. Like if you haven't played Gris yet, or Gris, definitely give it a look. It goes really cheap sometimes on the eShop. I generally try to cover it when it is on sale in eShop deals, but it is looking absolutely amazing. The game is beautiful, and the gameplay this time looks maybe more refined than Gris, because Gris had a absolutely fantastic beauty to it. The gameplay was good, but was maybe overshone by its beauty. This one feels like they've maybe refined the gameplay, and the gameplay is going to fit with the look of the game. let's just read the little blurb really fast. Neva is an emotionally charged action adventure from the visionary team behind the critically acclaimed Gree. Neva chronicles the story of Alba, a young woman bound to a curious wolf cub. It's a wolf cub, following a traumatic encounter with dark forces. Together, they embark on a perilous journey through a once beautiful world as it slowly decays around them. I really, really hope I have time to play this game soon. It's looking absolutely fantastic. Like there, like I'm at a loss for words because this is one of my most anticipated games for this week. I'm just still working on Europa right now. I just finished Transformers, like I said, and I'm backed up on reviews. Like I have to do at least 3 reviews this week, or else I'm never gonna see the end of it. But definitely want to play this game. Definitely want to play this game. However, there's maybe only one game I want to play more this week in the list of games here, which we're going to get to a little bit down the line. So first game here looks extremely promising for this week. At $19.99, it feels like a fair price for the quality of work they put in. Definitely a consideration if you don't know what you want to play for this week. Next, also releasing on October 15th, so it might be out in the next 7 minutes. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to give the little warning quickly. I'll give it now. If any of the trailers get muted in post or edited, that is simply because they got copyrighted. So if you're watching this after the actual stream tonight and you don't hear sound during the trailer, unfortunately, it's because it got copyrighted, and I'll be leaving the links to the trailers in the description of the video down below, so you can always go watch it for yourself if you're interested in the game and you want to hear the sounds. So next we have Drova, which the Forsaken Kin, which is releasing also on October 15th. This one will be $24.99. And let's read the blurb before we watch the trailer. So Drova is an action RPG that marries the dark, grim tones of its genre with the mysticism of Celtic mythology. Encounter a society where ancient restless spirits and divided factions battle for dominance. Uncover forgotten abilities and travel the secrets of a past shrouded in mystery. So let's take a look at Drova. Yes, Celtic mythology. So there we have Drova. Now, once again, visually, I think it works. And I'll be honest, in a quieter week, this would probably be on the top of my list. But there are so many games this week that I just don't think I'll be able to get around to this one. But I do think, yes, the Celtic mythology is one of the top things here. The art style, the darkness of the tones here seem to fit really well with what they're going for. Now, everything's going to depend on how smooth the combat is, because it's an action RPG. The one thing that maybe was unclear from the trailer is things did look a bit stiff. And obviously, if they're going for like a Souls-like, very deliberate combat system, it could still work. But I really like the vibe too. And yeah, the music seemed to fit in really well with the tones. Like, there's a lot that is setting this game up for a very positive outlook overall. But ultimately, this game is coming out today. Well, like on the 15th, which is like in 3 minutes. $24.99, however, is a little bit expensive. Okay, it's a little bit expensive, especially considering the other games, like I said, for this week. But if you want to take a chance on something that looks like it could have some really nice potential, this one could be one of those games. Next, we're gonna do it really quick because my daughters would be sad if I didn't say it was coming out this week. On the 15th, also in about 2 to 3 minutes, we have Just Dance 2025. Woohoo! Coming out for between $49 and $74.99 for the Ultimate Edition. So you have a range of prices here: $50 for the base game, $74.99 for the Ultimate Edition. Just Dance is going to sell every year. My daughters are super excited to play it. I always wait till it goes on sale for around $30 and then I pick it up for them. So I'm most likely going to do the same thing for this year. Now, this trailer I will mute preemptively because I know it's going to get copyright struck, because I've covered the release of the trailer before and it got copyrighted the last time it was in a video as well. Because we watched the Nintendo Direct where this was announced and the trailer got copyrighted in it. So I'm just going to mute the trailer ahead of time. We're going to take a quick look at the game to see what it's setting up with. And then we will basically wrap it up for this one. We're not going to spend a lot of time because Just Dance is Just Dance. It comes out every year. If you want the new songs, the new vibes, it's coming out. Well, this is a moneymaker for them. It's a moneymaker. So you're going to hear me instead of the trailer while we look at it. It's a moneymaker for Ubisoft. So yeah, it's their cash cow every year. If there's one thing they know is going to make them money, it's Just Dance. Why? Because there's really no competitors out there. There's like no competitors that do anything even close to this. And you know, nonetheless, the games are fun. If you have like a party set up with people coming over and you want to just look like like you don't really care if some people look dumb or not. Like when I do it, my daughters laugh every time because, come on, I have like zero rhythm. Okay. So ultimately, Just Dance 2025, you either love it or hate it. You either have kids that want to play it, or you pick it up as a party game, or you could be a super competitive dance maniac. I've played the online version, and some people, like, I can't even believe how good they have to be to get the scores they do, but it is funny. Yeah, I don't think many companies want to compete. Well, it's one of those games that, like, it's hard to compete with something like Just Dance because it's so predominant and so set up. And not only that, it's a big risk the first year because you have to license all these songs, right? So I know, like, it sounds dumb, but they actually probably have to front quite a bit of cash to license all the songs for each year. And if, for example, you were a company wanting to launch your first dance game like this, and you have to drop, like, I don't know, like $2 million on licensing fees to risk the game not taking off, that could be a big risk. And I'm saying 2 million. I have no idea what licensing fees look like for songs like these in a video game, but I'm pretty sure we're talking big numbers, which is probably why other companies don't want to do it, because it's a big risk. If you're a new property and your game doesn't sell, you just automatically like dumped a bunch of licensing fees for nothing. So we have a Just Dance 2025 edition. Yay! Now, our next game also coming out today. I'm telling you, everything is stacked on the 15th and the 17th this week. Okay, we do have a few games coming out on other dates, but you'll see that the 15th and the 17th are stacked. And this is the game I was referring to when I said there was one game that had me more interested than Neva, just because the gameplay style is probably the gameplay style that I enjoy the most overall, which is 2D action platformer. Okay, and that is Nikoderiko. Okay, Nikoderiko also releasing on the 15th. By the way, developers, if you're watching the thing, I'm still waiting for my code. Please, I would really like to get started on it. I would even put it ahead of finishing Europa at this point. But so it's Nikoderiko, The Magical World, releasing October 15th. It will be selling for $29.99. Now, the little blurb is very easy. Join Nico and Luna on their quest in Nikoderiko, a vibrant platform adventure available on PC, Nintendo Switch, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X, S, and the Xbox Series S and X. Sorry about that. My God. So now let's take a quick look at the trailer for Nikoderiko, and then we'll talk about it once again.
Let the adventures begin. We just need to find our chest.
Have you seen his army?
Mean, tastier lunch.
I think we can make a deal with him.
Big, scary enemy.
I wish there were more like him. Dude, focus on the road.
So that is Nikoderiko, The Magical World. Now, obviously, I mean, if you don't see Donkey Kong Country resemblances, that is most likely the series they are most going after. But there are even some levels that look like Crash Bandicoot levels where we're behind the characters, like this right here. So they seem to be blending sometimes the standard 2D perspective with the sort of like 3D lane perspective. Which to me is amazing because these are like games that I grew up with, that I love, which is why I said this is my genre. You know what I mean? Like, even though Neva is a 2D action platformer as well, this 2D action platformer is even more my vibe. Like, it reminded me also a lot of Kaze and the Wild Masks, which was another Donkey Kong Country inspired game. The one thing I'm worried about is the performance on the Switch, because graphically, this can work on the Switch. It just has to be ported well. That depends when I get the code. If I do get the code, like, let's say a little bit late, if I get the code after tomorrow evening, then yes, we'll stream it. If I get it, like, let's say I check my email later on today and the code is there, I might start playing it before that. And basically, because I'm going to want to try and review it. But as of now, the code is not in. And I just checked my email just in case. Still not in. So I'm hoping. Yeah, I know you guys would love to watch me die in this game. But either way, don't forget, guys, that we are not at a loss for games this week. And there's actually one that maybe I want to play even more on stream, just because it's a horror game. It's not a horror game in the sense that I don't think it's going to have us like jumping up and screaming because of the style of game it is, but it could be extremely fun. And actually, there's I'm lying again. There's another game I'm even more excited about than this. It's true. I'm lying again. I'm lying, but not voluntarily. Oh, by the way, side note, I'm picking up Balatro tomorrow, the physical edition. I know a lot of people told me you have to play Balatro, and I know I haven't played it yet. Bad Rick, but I'm picking up the physical edition tomorrow, which is why I said that, like, if I get the code tomorrow evening, I'm most likely not gonna play Nikoderiko because I am gonna be trying Balatro tomorrow. Okay. It's just that's the reason I never played it, because once I heard there was a physical coming out, I just said just wait. Don't get the physical, Rick. Why? What's wrong with the physical? I'll read the chat. We're gonna move on to the next one, but I'll read the chat when you have a chance. Type it out. Take the time you need to type it out properly, and I'll read it. Next. So Nikoderiko, super excited. If you're a fan of 2D platformers, it's completely patched. I don't care if it's patched. It's good. It's just I'd rather have the physical, even if it like. I understand what you mean. Like, the patch isn't on the cartridge, so like don't buy the physical. But I'd still rather have a physical that I can resell at one point than buying it digitally. That's the logic behind it. That's the only logic behind it. When a game is available physically, I just rather buy it physically than digitally, because I can never, like, and the point isn't to make money or resell, but I do hate the fact that when you buy a digital game, you can never resell it. You know what I mean? But I understand. Okay, well, I'll check that out tomorrow. I'll see what it says on the box. If it says you have to download everything, I might just keep the money for later then. I'll check it out. Thanks for the information, Rodrigo. I'll check it out online on the website. Okay, getting back to the games releasing this week. We're going now to the 16th of October. So we have left the 15th, and we have 8-Bit Adventures 2 on October 16th that is going to be releasing for $19.99. And this one does have a demo available on the eShop. I have not had the chance to play the demo, but a lot of people seem to be hyped about this game in the community, and I did not have a chance to play the first 8-Bit Adventure. So I'll be honest, I have not played the first 8-Bit Adventure, but I will look into it after this to see if it's available and to see what people thought about the first one. But I did like the graphical, like, it's old school, but I did like what I saw in the trailer here. So I do think this could be a potential for a very good game for people who like old school RPGs. Like old school. So that was 8-Bit Adventure. And I forgot to read the little blurb, so we'll do that really quick. 8-Bit Adventure 2 will be available on PC on January 31st. So this is the PC trailer, and it will be available later in 2023 on Nintendo Switch. So obviously it was delayed. Xbox Series XS, Xbox One, PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5. Get another look at this upcoming game in the launch trailer and get ready to embark on the adventure. Now, I do think that what the biggest problem this game probably has is its title. Its title makes it feel like a cheap, generic indie game, like, you know, the sort of like cash grab indie games, by calling it just 8-bit adventures, okay? But apparently it's pretty good. That's what because it's out on Steam already. That's why I said that apparently it's really good, and apparently it's not like some generic game. So if you like retro RPGs, apparently this is a good game to be picking up. But let me just see. You guys, by attention, you're going to put the cartridge every time you play, and it's playing in short bursts. I get what. Okay, sorry, I was following the chatter. Rodrigo, you're still talking about Balatro. Perfect, and I'll catch up to it a little bit later. But I'm gonna just move on the games here. And sorry, you guys can keep the conversation going. I just thought we were talking about this one here, which is why I was trying to read up on it. So yeah, 8-Bit Adventures 2 looks like a pretty fun retro-styled RPG. If you are looking for that old school, like Final Fantasy up until 6 looking games, I do think this one's going to be a really good one. Once again, I just think the landscape for this week is so busy that it's hard for this game to stand out. And like I said, and I get that the title maybe has some sense in the story that I'm not aware about, but at the same time, I do find that is their biggest challenge here, because a lot of people on the Switch, like even on Steam, we're so used to seeing like bloatware games that I do think a lot of people are going to be turned off by this one because the title makes it look very generic. I understand that you're disappointed that everything is pixelated, my man. We do have a few unpixelated games, but that's where we're at with the Switch right now. Till we get the Nintendo Switch 2, most of the non-pixelated games that are coming out right now are made for consoles and that the Nintendo Switch has trouble supporting. Hey, and Nikoderiko wasn't pixelated, so you've got a non-pixelated game. But I get what you're saying. And I do think that right now the pixel art games are intense, but for indie games, it's just so much cheaper for them to make than to have to make 3D models. Like it's budget-wise, it's keeping stuff on the absorbable, like on the manageable side for them. Now next, we move to October 16th as well with Crow Country. Crow Country, my God, not county, Crow Country. And this is the horror game I was talking about. But then I remembered that there were other Halloween-themed games coming out this week that I at first forgot about. That's on my list a little bit lower that I could not see at that point. And trust me, Friday, we will not be in a lack of games to play. Okay? We will not be in a lack of games to play. But Crow Country still seems like an amazing take on the old school Resident Evil games, okay? Venture into darkness of an abandoned theme park to uncover the mystery of Edward Crow's disappearance in this retro-inspired survival horror game, which Topaz is walking in front of the screen. Come here, Crow Country, coming October 16 to Nintendo Switch. Let's watch the trailer, and then you guys can see what it looks like. I like that environmental thing that you can shoot the like switch on the rather than shooting the enemy directly. And there we go. Crow country. So I think if you like old school horror games, and when I say old school, is that if you remember the original, not the remake of Resident Evil, but the original Resident Evil, like it looked very close to that. Maybe this is a little more chibi-esque in its design. The first Resident Evil was more like trying nonetheless to reproduce actual like human forms, like, you know, the people look like people. This does have a little bit of chibiness to it in the designs of the characters, but at the same time, it feels like an old school Resident Evil game or Silent Hill, you know what I mean? But like really from the PS1 era. I think this game has potential. I think it has a lot of potential. And I didn't read reviews, but from what I got little blurbs here and there, I think people are liking it that got review codes for it. Because I do think reviews are live already on the game. And I do think that it's reviewing well so far for what it is. So this one, as I said, will be hitting on October 16th and will be selling for $19.99. No, I didn't get an Alarmo. I explained why I didn't get one at the start of the video. So if you want to watch it again, it's like the first like 10 minutes, not even. I explained, we watched the trailer, then we take like 5-10 minutes to talk about it. But no, I did not get an Alarmo. Maybe I'll get one for one of my daughters, but for myself, it wouldn't work. It just wouldn't work. Okay, next we move on to one of the big boys for this week. Coming out on October 17th, we have Super Mario Party Jamboree for $59.99. One of the only first-party Nintendo games I do not get. I will not be buying. I know Mario Party can be great. I just personally am not a fan. Even though I have family and kids, none of my kids have ever gotten into Mario Party. Like, no one really gets into it here. So I don't buy it because myself, I'm not like a Super Mario Party fan. But I do think nonetheless, if you are a fan of Mario Party, this is going to be a great pickup. Don't get me wrong. It's just, I personally, not my cup of tea for Mario Party. And I love party games. But yeah. Yeah, and for me, it's like, even though I play with my family, it is hard to get a group together. We play more like 2 people together often. Like, I'll play with my daughter, I'll play with my wife. But getting a lot of people together at once doesn't happen enough to get Mario to be worth a Mario Party. But let's take a look at the trailer, and then we will nonetheless, maybe I'll give a few final thoughts.
The latest game in the Mario Party series takes place on an enormous island resort. Get ready to jump into the biggest selection of Mario...
Oh, and by the way, there's like almost a 5-minute trailer out there. That's not the trailer I took. I took the 2-minute announcement trailer. Okay, so if you guys want a lot more details on the game, there's a much larger trailer available on YouTube.
Party mini games yet in Super Mario Party Jamboree. First, let's see some of the new boards where you'll compete to collect the most stars. Take the escalators to travel between floors in Rainbow Galleria. Use in-game coins to get a star at half price.
I've got to say though that the maps look like the funnest maps I've seen so far of the Mario Party games.
Ride around and stay on track in Roll'em Raceway. With the new Turbo Dice item, you can move up to 40 spaces with a lucky roll. Here on Goomba Lagoon, the ebb and flow of the tide can change your path. And things really get mixed up when the volcano blows its top. Along with 5 new game boards, 2 boards from previous Mario Party games make their return. Some mini-games are action-packed challenges, speed trials, a battle of wits, and more. And some are controlled by gently shaking or tilting your Joy-Con controllers. With over 110 mini-games,
I don't want to play with chat because I don't want to make you guys look bad.
Also,
you know, I
Up
just
to
end up
20
winning
players can
everything.
go
It wouldn't really
head-to-head
be
online
fun.
in the Coupathlon mode. Compete against your rivals and aim for first place. Try your best to come out on top. Wait, there are even more new modes? The biggest Mario Party yet will soon be underway when the Super Mario Party Jamboree game launches on the Nintendo Switch system October 17th.
Us look bad. Yeah. I gotta get my licks in when I can. But no, but for real, like I know it. I've got to say, out of all the Mario Party games I've seen, this is the one that maybe looks the most interesting. I'll give them that. The maps look the funnest, and the games look the funnest that I saw. Like out of the ones they showed, to me these looked the funnest out of the ones I've seen. But Rick's talking trash. It's not talking trash when you basically deliver. And since I always deliver, it's just talking. Talking trash is when you don't deliver. But since I deliver 10 times out of 10, it's like it's just talking. But no, but getting back to seriousness. Isn't that from a movie? I deliver 10 times out of 10? Or isn't that like... Anyway, it'll come back to me eventually. Or isn't that from a song? Oh, yes, it's from... it's a remake of an old movie, of a TV series that with, what's his name? With Samuel L. Jackson. Who delivers 10 times out of 10? Shaft. It's Shaft. Who delivers 10 times out of 10? Shaft. But yeah, I knew I took that from something. Like when I said it, I'm like, that's too good for me to just make up on the spot. But yeah, no. But jokes aside, I do think it's going to be a good game. If you like Mario Party, I do think this is good. It looks better than the previous one they came out with. My feeling, though, is they're coming out with too many Mario Parties. I actually thought that this was going to be DLC for the last game, considering how like that the other game came out last year. I do think that they're being a little bit excessive. Yes, I did watch Pootie Tang with his belt. That was the one with the belt, right? Where he let the Pootie Tang. And he hit people with his belt or whatnot, with a like massive like golden belt or something. Pretty sure that's the one I'm thinking of. But yeah, that's the one comment I'm maybe gonna say about Mario Party, is that I do think they're starting to be a little bit greedy with their Mario parties. They should. I would think they should release a Mario Party platform and then release DLC for it at like $30 a pop, rather than trying to release a new $60 game every year. But obviously they're making more money this way, so why not? Like from Mario's point of view, and this game's probably going to sell. But I think that if the community push backs enough and like maybe doesn't buy this one or the next one or something like that, if they do try to make it a yearly series, I do think like they would be better off releasing DLC packs for a Mario Party platform at half the price. But then again, this is a dream world, because most likely this game's going to sell and they're going to keep doing it like this. But yes, so we have Super Mario Party Jamboree. Same argument for Pokemon, in a sense, yes. Okay, next we are moving on to October 17th as well, with Blazing Strike coming out for $39.99. Now, this is a 2D fighting game. And it is in Spanish, the explanation here. So I am not going to read it because I don't want people laughing at my Spanish. And I'm pretty sure there's some people in chat that really want me to give it a try, but I'm looking and there's too many words that I'm sure I'm gonna destroy. Oh my god. Like, I'm not sure how to pronounce series in Spanish. Series de juegos. I'm gonna try, but no one is allowed to make fun of the fact that series is just series, right? Yeah, that's what I thought. So, inspirado en las series de juegos de lucha arcade clásicos de grandes de la industria como Capcom y SNK. El próximo juego de lucha en 2D del desarrollador Rare Breed makes games evoca la emoción y la nostalgia de los pioneros. Sorry, I got it. Pioneros del género del pixel art en 2D. A la vez que incorpora un sistema de juego único con mecánicas modernas. And the worst is I know I have Spanish speakers in the chat. So, yeah. Did the best I could, guys. Like, there's too many words that I've never used. Like, I sound like Nacho Libre. Shut the... Ah! The worst is, like, like, if you guys don't know, my dad is Venezuelan, okay? My dad is South American. So I can understand Spanish, but I speak really shitty, like you can see. Spanish with a touch of French, exactly. And that's my biggest problem, is that because I speak 5 different languages, and Spanish is my weakest of the 5, and I'm not even going to say 5. Let's say 4. Spanish is the weakest. Is one of the weakest of the 4. Like, sometimes I get mixed with other languages I know when I'm speaking Spanish because it's my weakest one. So, like, and they're all Latin-based languages. So it's yeah. But yeah, and there's a lot of words in there that I'm like, holy shit, I've never used in Spanish. But anyway. There we go. You got it. But it looks actually freaking good, but it is a pixel art 2D fighter. Let's take a look at the trailer now. Now that you've had your laugh, let's take a look at it.
Finish it right now or never. A full throw a blow with the mask. I have to sever. Place and time from the full vibes line. Whatever opposed me, I will outshine. I endeavor to outlast whoever will try. Bad weather, the ship will capsize. Apply mad pressure. You will see my ugly side, cause I'm not going down without a fight. No, I'm not going down without a fight.
I don't like the close-up that they're using, though, for this. I would have rather them use the normal perspective to give us a better idea of the gameplay for the trailer. And I'm going to talk because I'm really under the impression that this song is going to be copyrighted. So there's a very good chance that this trailer will have to be muted after. So if it does, I'm sorry, guys. Well, actually, it's the ArcSys is making the game. ArcSys is making the game, so I'm pretty sure they pull the fighters from their games. Woo! Rodrigo donated 490 CLP. Thank you so much, my man. Very appreciated. Very appreciated for being a good sport. Of course, man. I'm always a good sport. I'm here having fun, guys. There's no reason not to be in a good mood. And, you know, the more foolish I look, the more you guys have fun. So it's all good. But yeah, no, this looks like there were other trailers where you got better perspectives, okay? But the other ones were, I was worried there was going to be even more copyright problems with them. So I didn't want to use them. But this one looks like it has a lot of potential. ArcSys knows what they're doing with fighting games. By the way, they make a ton of fighting games. They specialize in that. So it's made by a company that knows fighting games. So I do think that if you're looking for a new fighting game to get into, this one could have a ton of potential. The only thing here is the price tag of $39.99 is a lot for an unknown franchise. However, I think they know what they're doing here in the sense that they're going after fighting game enthusiasts. I don't think this looks like a game that's going to be very easy to jump into if you've never played a fighting game before. So I do want to give that warning. ArcSys games are not always easy to jump into if you aren't already a fighting game enthusiast. Okay? They are generally directed towards fighting game specialists. But that is coming out on the 17th, and I had to highlight it because we don't get that many fighters nowadays, especially on the Switch. At least not brand new fighters, because we just did get the Capcom, Marvel vs. Capcom series. But yeah, now Sparking Zero does look awesome, and if it was on Switch, I'd be playing it already. Since it's on other systems, I'm just gonna wait till it goes on sale. Honestly, I can wait. Like I'm not hurting for gaming. Like I'm hurting for gaming time more than I'm hurting for games. Okay, so we're still not done, guys. We still got a few more games to go through, but we are getting there. We are getting there. Like I said, today was going to be a big show for the games. So next, we have a game coming out on October 17th called Storm Edge. And this game is going to be selling for $14.99, and there is a pre-release discount right now, dropping it to $11.24. This game is... we're going to take a look at the trailer because there's no little blurb describing it at the bottom. But from my recollection, it was a top-down action game, something like that. Yeah, that's what my note says, just top-down action. So we'll take a look. Oh, it's a roguelike, actually. It's a roguelike. I remember now. Now that I have a visual memory. But yes, it's more pixel art. I like too that you can clearly see that there are different play styles. Like you can clearly see that some are casters, some are melee combat. Like there's clearly different play styles here. So that was Storm Edge, and it's one of the cheaper games for this week at $14.99. But yes, it does look polished. However, it's a roguelike. We have a lot of roguelikes right now. So I do think that if you're looking to jump into a new one, make sure you check out like which ones are on sale first, because there are a ton of roguelikes that could be really good. Hey, look, we're getting my own video suggested to us. Awesome, man. I love this. I actually got suggested to myself. Nice. But Rick would die gloriously at this game. Man, Wild One, all you want to do is see me die in games. But yeah, it looks like it has a high potential nonetheless. But once again, I'm not going to watch my stream on my stream. That would just be insanely YouTubeception. Oh my god, yeah, layers upon layers. Layers. Wow. Layers. Wow. Do we get like a crazy reverb? Do we get like a crazy reverb? Do we get like a crazy? Is it messing things up? What does it sound like for you guys? Is it messing things up? What does it sound like for you guys? Is it messing things up? What does it sound like for you guys? Is it messing things up? Okay, enough of that. Enough of that. We just had to try it quickly. Yeah, that was just like a quick mess around. I just wanted to see what it would actually do to. Like I would have had to mute it theoretically if we want to watch our own stream. But yeah, so that game is coming out on the October 17th. I do think you can keep an eye on it if you're aching for a new roguelike and you like the isometric viewpoint. There aren't, yeah, no, there are still, like, it gives like a Hades viewpoint, but it doesn't look like as room-based. I still would like to see maybe a little bit more of gameplay to see how it, like, what the transitions between the levels look like. Is it, are you always in the same arena and like waves spawn in, or are you like going from arena to arena? That's where I'm a little bit like confused on the, not confused, but I'd like to know, which would help me make a decision on, you know, what type of gameplay we're looking at exactly. Okay, next we have on, once again, October 17th, a very popular day. We have Dungeons 4 coming to the Nintendo Switch, releasing for $49.99. However, it is currently on discount for $44.99. Now, honestly, I played Dungeons 1 and 2 on PC, I believe. I haven't, and I'm even doubtful that I played the second one. I know I played the first one, so I haven't kept up with the series. So if any of you have played the more recent entries in the series, I don't know if it's still like a series that has kept up with its quality. But, yeah, that's Angry Joe actually was suggested to me because I watch a lot of Angry Joe. So, but definitely, Dungeons is like, you have to like build a dungeon. It's like a dungeon builder. But let's watch the trailer. Let's see. Wait, where's there a blurb first? Dungeons 4 is available now on Xbox Series X and S. Oh yeah, there's no. Also, this I wanted to mention. I could find no trailer for the Switch version. So this is a trailer for the PC, PlayStation 5, and Xbox Series X and S. So that did worry me that there is no Switch version trailer that I could find. So I'm worried that maybe it's because the gameplay is subpar on the Switch and they don't want to show off the gameplay. So I do want to say that this one, although it's not in the official be careful section, I would be careful for this one, especially at a $50 price point. I would maybe wait for a review or two to see what the performance is like on Switch. Because normally I always try to show trailers from the Switch.
Hey, I'm back. Time to kick a little hero butt. Forward, creatures. Show me what you can do.
Okay. So basically, it is a dungeon builder. So you are actually playing the bad guy, and you have to build dungeons to kill the heroes that are trying to basically beat the dungeons. So you have to install traps, you have to get bad guys going. It's a strategy game, but from the other perspective, from the bad guy's perspective. And this one comes out on the 17th. Be careful for this one, but I do know that the Dungeon series on PC was really good. So I do think, like, if they can get it to run well on the Switch and have the controls well adapted, but I think nowadays a lot of companies have figured out the whole park builder or builder format on a controller. 49.99. That is a lot though, however. But yeah, so Dungeons 4, I haven't kept up with the series, so I don't know if Dungeons 3 was very good and like Dungeons 4 has a high potential now or whatnot. But I did want to highlight it because it was coming out this week, and I did think it was sufficiently interesting to mention at least. But this would be maybe one that I'm recommending to wait for reviews to see performance. But it's not officially in the watch out for section because nonetheless, the developer itself has not been known in the past for like crappy games and stuff. Now we come to our next game, October 17th. We have Core Keeper, which will be selling for $19.99. Now I can already tell you this is a pretty good game because it's out on Steam and I've seen gameplay for it on Steam. I've seen people play it live. It is a pretty fun game if you like the genre, and you'll see what the genre is in a couple of seconds. But basically, it's you need to grab your mining picks, explorers. It's time to embark on an unforgettable underground adventure in Core Keeper. Out now on PC, PlayStation, Xbox Series XS, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch on September 17th. So we are the last console to get it, but you will see it seems like very interesting. If you've ever played like Terraria or what's that other game that's like that a bit? Terraria or it's sort of along the same concept. We'll look at the trailer, then you'll see what I mean. Like if you guys don't see it, like it's a dungeon explorer / builder. So it's like you have to explore a sort of underground dungeon, and you keep expanding your territory, but you also can build as you go along. And you can actually play multiplayer on this. So you can play with friends, you can play alone, but you can also play in multiplayer with other people. And you have like huge bosses to beat and stuff. And there's a lot of building, crafting. There's a lot of crafting, and what I really love too is there's a lot of builds. There's a lot of builds that are viable. So there's a lot of different ways to play it. Like you have melee builds, you have bow builds, you have gun builds. Like you have a lot of different ways to play the game, which is something I really enjoy because like I really like to be able to make your own build and then try crazy builds. And it's actually really easy to sort of like switch builds in the game and all that. So I do think if you're looking for a sort of multiplayer game single player or multiplayer game to jump into that you can easily sink a ton of hours into, this is going to be a great pickup for this week. It's $19.99. $19.99. So it is very competitively priced for the genre. I was trying to think of other games in this genre. Give me just a sec. Because if I go here... No, it's not doing a good job. Because I have a site that sort of tells you like what games look like this game and whatnot, but it's not giving good suggestions. It's you have to really use it with a grain of salt because it sometimes gives you good suggestions, sometimes bad. But definitely one to look out for. It's going to have a physical version as well, by the way. That's going to be selling for $34.99, but it is quite a bit more. But you know, just in case you want to get a physical version, it was in early access for a good deal of time, and the developers did a lot of work on the game to bring it to where it is now, and now it is really a good game. So if you want to get into a game like this, this could definitely be a great consideration. It goes for up to 1 to 4 players online, by the way. So I do think that if you're looking for like a cheaper game to get into with friends or alone that you can sink a ton of hours into, this is going to be a super awesome consideration for this week. Okay, so Core Keeper, good one to keep an eye on. Now, we are getting to the end, guys. We are getting to the end. We've only got 2 more games in the suggested section and then 2 games in the be careful section. And we are going to move on to the next one. So our next one is Killing Time Resurrected. Now, I'll be honest, I'm not this is a remaster. I am not familiar with the original Killing Time. But based on the other games that the developers have done, I was interested enough in what I saw to say that this game could definitely be something interesting. Ether Knights, I'll check it out. It didn't flash to me Ether Knights. I've seen it used a few times. I'll check it out. It didn't flash to me, but you know, I can miss some sometimes. Because I watched all the trailers, but it didn't hit me.
Welcome to the Conway State.
Tess, my darling, we're not getting any younger.
They will be soon.
I love the here.
Your soul belongs to me.
We just have to lock them up in the wine cellar.
But I will pass not into the field of reeds. My body will keep time in its place.
So it's really like a sort of Doom clone, if you will, but with FMV scenes thrown in and a really campy look to it. So when I'm saying that this looks like a good game, this looks like a good game if you like campy looking 90s like games. And based on the other games they've done, because they've done a lot of remasters like this, the company's done a pretty good job. Like they did the remasters for Turok, among a few, like for almost all first-person shooters. So they sort of like know what they're doing for this genre of gaming and remaking this genre of gaming, which is why I think it's worth looking into. Now, the one thing on the downside, however, is it does have a $24.99 sales price, which is a little bit expensive to take a chance on for a game like this if it turns out to be not good, or especially if it turns out to be a game that lasts like 3 hours or even like, let's say 2 hours. Because I do feel that a lot of FMV games, the problem with them is because of the FMVs, they were not very long because the FMVs took a lot of place up on the disc. So they had to make the game short to allow that to exist, because you just can't have that many FMVs back in the day when they were originally made. But we shall see for this one. I did think it was worth highlighting, however. Now, give me just a sec here. We have one more game, and this is probably actually my most anticipated game for this week, which I made a mistake on earlier because I forgot about this one when I originally said that the other one was my most anticipated. Eternite. Eternites. Oh, I saw this, but it didn't catch my eye. It didn't catch my eye. Okay, we'll take a look at Eternites because Champ has been adamant about it. This game is going to be selling for $29.99. It is releasing on October 17th. Whoops. Give me a sec, guys. We'll start it over here. So let's take a look at Eternites.
You gave me a whole new way to see the world. A whole new way to see myself. I can't wait for the world to come back.
Get ready. Monsters are coming your way.
Can't you feel the love in the air? We're going out on a date. You just seem so confident. Currently, I'm scanning your motions. Before the world ended, I was on my way to film a school drama. Get ready to burn!
One day, out of nowhere, it just appeared in my dreams.
You should have just left me down there with the monsters! We need to focus. We have 11 days to find the core and destroy it.
Guys, we gotta go!
We should get out of here.
But still, we were supposed to see the world together. Fuzz it together.
Yes, everyone, get ready! I miss you. A lot.
Guys, it's coming closer! Oh.
I have to go.
So that was Eternites. Now, I think the reason why I didn't like sort of latch on to this one is the gameplay looks slow to me. And it just seemed like I'm giving my take on it here. It seemed like a worse version of a Persona game. Okay, it seems to be trying to give the same type of vibes here, like an anime Persona-ish type vibe, but more violent, like more gory-ish. But yeah, it didn't hook me. It didn't hook me. But wow, that trailer showed the final boss. Awesome. Don't you love when trailers do that? But yeah, so I guess if you're into the vibes of this game, you could give it a try. I just want to say it also released on other consoles on September 12th of last year, and I'm not seeing fantastic scores. Like I'm seeing sort of like between 6s and 8s, with more scores dipping towards 6 and 7s than scores dipping towards 8s. So keep that in mind. But I guess this is a noteworthy release for this week. Thanks for showing it, Champ, because I do think that maybe there could be some interest here in this one. Now, we get to my last suggested game of the week. And this is one that we've looked at before. Releasing on October 17th, right? No, 18th. We have Retro Realms, Halloween, and Ash versus Evil Dead. Now, one thing that I had not originally realized when we watched this is two separate games, however, running on the same engine, and each one of the games will be $24.99. So it is a bit expensive. Each game individually, Halloween and Ash versus Evil Dead, now they're combined into the same trailer here, but these are two separate games that will each sell for $29.99. and they look amazing. They are pixel art 2D action platformers based around the Evil Dead series and Halloween series. Let's take a look at the trailer, and then I'll talk about something even more interesting about this. Now, this is most likely what we're going to play on Friday, by the way, guys. I'm sorry. For anyone who wanted to see Nikoderiko, we're most likely going to play this. I have to see when the physical comes out, because there's a physical, by the way. And I'm wondering if it's not this week. So this is my biggest release of the week. This looks amazing, and Retro Realms generally does very good work with their games. Now, there is something very interesting about this, however. When I'm saying that they're rolling on the same engine, they're actually rolling on the same app on the eShop. Okay? You are going to be able to play these games, you have to download an app called Retro Realms on the eShop. And then basically, Ash versus the Evil Dead and Halloween are being sold as DLC to the free app. Okay? So what that means, and this is why I said this is super interesting. I'm almost sure that this is going to be a start to a wider series where we're going to get more franchises coming in. Because basically, why would you build a platform like that where you have to download an app and then start buying DLC for games if you're not going to have other games come out for it? So maybe we'll get a Friday the 13th based game. Maybe we'll get an Alien versus Predators game. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can see them going into all of these retro series and basically building different games with the same sort of like platform. And I think it's a genius idea if that's what's going to happen. Freddy, yeah, A Nightmare on Elm Street. But basically, if you go on the eShop, you'll see, if you go on the Ash versus Evil Dead game, it's sold as a bundle, and you have to download the Retro Realms app, and then the Ash versus Evil Dead will show up like DLC for it. And then basically, and same thing if you go into the Halloween, you have to download the Retro Realms app, and then Halloween shows up as DLC in the bundle. So this is actually going to be really, really amazing if we do get further games like this. And this is really good. Now, I went on Amazon, and Amazon is saying that the physical version of the game is coming out on the 25th of October. Like next week. I hope they're wrong. I'm gonna call GameStop tomorrow and figure this out, because I know I pre-ordered it there. Maybe it's the special editions coming out on the 18th, because this I think is the regular edition. It's the double feature that I'm looking at. Halloween, Ash, Switch. Yeah, because here the special edition is coming out on October 31st, but I'll figure it out with GameStop. Okay, here's the plan, just so that we clear this up really quickly. If it is coming out on the 25th, we'll play the games on the 25th, because I already pre-ordered the physical edition, and I'm not going to double dip on them 1 week apart, unless I get a review code. If I get a review code, then we'll play them this week, and I'll just unbox the physical version next week, okay? But if I do not get a review code and they are coming out next week, I might have to pick up We will be playing it next week. And like I said, this week we can play Nikoderiko, we can play Core Keeper. Like, we're not hurting for games for this week one way or the other. So, good news, bad news situation. And I'll figure it out tomorrow, and I'll make a plan for Friday. Okay? Okie doke. So we've got that down. We've got that down. Now we have 2 last games to look at, but I want to be very clear here. These are beware games. Now, they could still turn out to be okay games, but the likelihood of these games being good are much lower than your average Switch game. The first one of these 2 is going to be TMNT, or Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And why did that pop over there? Rah. That's just my note sheet. Okay. So Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutants Unleashed, which is going to be releasing on October 18th and will be selling for $39.99 for the regular edition of the game, or $49.99 for the deluxe edition of the game. And why am I saying that this game needs to be watched out for? It is because it is made by Outright Games. So if you've watched the last couple of weeks, the Patrick Star game, the Transformers game, all of these games were Outright Games. Now, Outright, the one thing is, it's a publisher. It is not the developer, and each one of these games are being developed by different studios. What that means is one of these games could actually wind up being a decent game if the studio is good. However, most likely these games were done with a very small timeline and a very fixed budget, meaning that they won't delay a game or add any money in to make a game better. They just want to deliver a game on an IP, which is why Outright Games often suck. Okay? They basically just want to cash in on IPs. And look, they've released 3 games over 3 weeks. They released the Patrick Star game 2 weeks ago. They released Transformers last week, and now they're releasing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game this week. Okay? So before picking this one up, please definitely wait for reviews. This could turn out to be a crap show, especially on the Nintendo Switch. Some of their games run well on PS5 and other consoles, but they often run really, unfortunately, bad on the Nintendo Switch.
Hi
And
again,
it's too bad
guys.
because I love this movie.
April O'Neil here, and I have some exciting news to share today. The Ninja Turtles are out saving the city yet again. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there are a lot of new faces around. Mutant faces. And not all of them are friendly. So it's up to the Turtles to do something about it. Luckily, each of them has their own unique way of dealing with unexpected problems. But who are these new mutants? And what do they want? If you ask me, they look like proofs of concept. Or some strange experiment, maybe? Hopefully the Turtles can find out what's really going on. They sure have a bunch of friends to help them now. Or, not? And who's to say our turtle teens can't learn a few new tricks themselves? Or even make new friends from all across this famously friendly city. What do you guys think? Was that okay?
Yes. So, look, I'm not going to lie. There are parts of the trailer that look like it could have potential. Like I said, the one thing is I do not trust them to deliver a good product. And I don't, if it runs well, it might just not run well on the Nintendo Switch. But they are going for the exact style of the movie. It's very, very close to the style of the movie. So if you know, which sort of fits, because this is supposed to be the movie tie-in game, that the movie that came out last year for TMNT. But like I said, it is very iffy. Please wait for a review before picking this one up. Let's not support a company that does cash-ins unless they actually deliver a good game. Maybe if they can see if it does turn out to be a good game, then buy it, because if maybe they see that putting out a good game gets them better sales, maybe they'll actually put the time in. And who knows, maybe Nickelodeon put some pressure on them to make sure that the game is decent. Now, I forgot to take down when this one releases. Let me just pull up when it releases. Okay, our next game is also releasing on October 18th. It'll be selling for $39.99. And this is another game to watch out for because it is being released by Game Mill. And it is called Hot Wheels Monster Trucks Stunt Mayhem. Now, the reason why I wanted to specifically take the time to talk about this game. We have gotten some pretty okay Hot Wheels games in the past. Hot Wheels Unleashed and Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 are actually pretty fun racing games. They do have some monetization stuff that that they're a little bit too intense with, but the base games themselves are good games. But they are not made by the same company making the Hot Wheels monster trucks here. This has been made or published, okay? This game is being published by Game Mill. Now, Game Mill is hit or miss. They just put out that Karate Kid fighting game, the pixel art one, that wasn't too bad. But they also put out Kong Skull Island last year, which was terrible. They also put up that Walking Dead game, which was almost unplayable. They put out they put out 2 Cobra Kai games where the first one was okay, but the second one was totally broken. So they are very hit and miss on their games because they're another company like Outright Games that cashes in on IPs, but doesn't necessarily take the time or vet the studios to make sure that they deliver good games. They trust the IPs to do the work for them rather than delivering good games. And once again, this game is going to be selling for $39.99. So do not get had with this one because the previous Hot Wheels games were good. This one is not made by the same company. Before paying any money for it, make sure that it actually turns out to be a good game. And with an only 40-second trailer, they don't seem to want to show off a lot of it. I'm going to talk a lot because this one is most likely going to get copyrighted as well. And when I talk over it, it sometimes stops the copyright from happening. But yes. And I'm sorry, some of it just looked totally awful here. Here where at the end where the truck freezes in the air. Which one is it? Where he freezes and he starts pivoting like this. Anyway. Well, Game Mill is not a development company. It is a publisher, just so we are clear. They fund the games. They negotiate for the IPs, but they do not make the games. Yeah, the problem is it's once again... It's once again a shared trailer. So we don't know if this footage is from the Switch, from the PS5, from anything. So do be careful with these trailers because they look good, but the problem is that we don't know what it's going to be looking like final product. So there we have it, guys. That was this week for the Nintendo Switch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 games with high potential and 2 to be very careful for this week. So we're getting into that time of year where it's massive releases. We had 2 quiet weeks. Now we are overflowing with games for this week. And I think you said that you checked GameStop and it's the 25th. So look, if it's the 25th and I don't get a review code, all it means is we're playing it next week. That's all it means. We're still going to definitely play Ash versus Evil Dead and Halloween on stream. There's no way we're not playing those on stream. So next week and this week, we'll be playing either Nikoderiko, Core Keeper, or potentially maybe even Neva, depending on what I get as codes, or even Crow Country. Like, we have so many games, so little time. Like Annie just said, so many games, so little time. It is very, very easy to find a game for this week. We're gonna have some fun on Friday. So, hope that was our show for this week, guys. Whew. Like I said, I kept the news stories a little bit short because we had so many games to go over. As usual, tomorrow I'm going to be republishing these in a story format, in a new release game only format for people that just want to see the new releases for the week. But I really want to thank you all for showing up as usual. I'm not going to stick around too long tonight. I'll explain to you why. I have a huge day tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a huge day of video production. Okay, I'm actually off tomorrow because, by the way, it's a holiday in Canada here tonight. Because it is Thanksgiving, and I have an extra day off this week, so I'm off tomorrow as well. So tomorrow is going to be a huge production day, and I want to be able to get up early and put in the time. Okay, because I really, really want to get ahead of the reviews that I told you guys about. My dream world is tomorrow. I managed to film Transformers, I managed to film Echoes of Wisdom, and I managed to film, I had one more that I really wanted to, I have to go look at my list. Transformers, Echoes, and I managed to finish Europa, because Europa isn't that long. I just haven't had time because of Transformers to finish it. And I film a special unboxing video for something I've been wanting to unbox for a while. So if magic happens and I manage to get all that done, that means that I have all week of my extra videos done, and I can just focus on deals, and basically pop out like the videos, like one a day or one or two a day. Like, there might be a day with 2 videos at one point, whatnot. But I'm hopefully wanting to get up early and get that done. Yeah, it's Topaz. She's back. So, thank you guys, just as usual, for showing up. I hope you guys liked the show. Don't forget to hit the like button if you haven't already before you leave. And as usual, I hope I'll see all of you in my next video. Have a great one, guys. Have a great evening. And thank you for the well wishes of Thanksgiving. It is very appreciated.